tell me about the excitement that's rushing through you this evening.
I do feel excited. It feels, I don't know, it feels like really good, loving energy. We're all close friends.
Feel electric when they're screaming, when the crowd behind us is screaming your name.
Hi guys, and welcome to the end of the year. Congratulations if you made it through this very tragic year. But yes, it's that time of the year, like a lot of people, where we discuss our best of the year. And this one is no different. So a couple of weeks back, I did a video in regards to the Grammys and how they tragically represented the metal community in the Grammys. So I decided, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna sort of do my own little award show thingy.
I'll do it myself.
And discuss some of my favorites that came out this year. So if you enjoy this video, give it a like, subscribe, support the channel, and keep up to date on all the videos coming out. And yeah, let's just jump right into this. For my first category to discuss is the singles, the best singles of the year. And not gonna lie, this year we've had so many amazing singles. We had Lamb of God, we had Gojira, we had Slaughter to Prevail bringing their magnum opus Demolisher. However, there's one track that has stood above them all, the best thing to come out this year, and that is of course Spiritbox's Holy Roller. So this track, it is brutal, it is fast, it's quick, it's to the point, it does not beat around the bush. It is probably the heaviest thing that has come out from this band, considering how great of a year this band has had already, coming out with banger single after banger single. And probably this is their heaviest they have done to date. They also put out the track Constance, but when you look at all the reactions that were done about this video, including my one, I'll leave a link somewhere, it just stands above everything else. In fact, it was so good, they made a sequel to it featuring the vocalist from Crystal Lake. However, I felt that the sort of remixed or re-recorded version, it didn't really add anything new that was already there in the track, so I didn't really see a point in it. But the original one, it's beautiful, it's perfect. So yes, best single of the year has to go to Holy Roller by Spiritbox. Next, we have the best EP of the year, and hands down, without a question, I did a review for it just recently, it has to be Distant with their EP, Dawn of Corruption. Distant had an interesting year when very early on in the year they put out the single Argon Debt, which was this sort of collaboration project with 4 other vocalists from different bands within the scene. Not gonna lie, it wasn't the greatest when it came to the mix and everything, but I discussed that all my review, which of course I will link as well. But then they came back later in the year with this absolute behemoth of an EP, starting off with the track Hellmouth, which sort of showed that they have redefined the way of heaviness, had an amazing mix, and throughout the entire EP showed off how heavy this band can be and how heavy they're going to be with more singles and music that they're going to come out in the future. So without a doubt, had to be Dawn of Corruption by Distant for the best EP of the year. Next, we're looking at a very interesting category, and that is the best breakdown of the year. Now, there was a lot to go through. There was a lot of breakdowns that could have been contenders, but me personally, this one just took the cake. So a while back in February, I was doing a bit of a deep dive into the tech death scene, and then I came across this one particular band who just put out an album, and that band was Beneath the Massacre. And my God, the breakdown. And the track I'm going to refer to that had probably the best breakdown for me in the year had to be the track Treacherous off their album Fearmonger. Not gonna lie, when I first heard this breakdown, I was mind blown. I had never heard something so fucking brutal, so heavy, and such a tight ending to an already hectic song. This whole album in its sense is a bludgeoning to the head that somehow has some coherence to it. But besides all that, that one particular breakdown hit me so hard that I ended up listening to it non-stop throughout the entire year, and it came out in February. This track was on my gym playlist, pretty much every gym session. It was always played as a way to push me to the next level, like when I came into the gym. And yeah, it's still, man, it's so fucking heavy. Even to this day, I've not heard a breakdown so insane. It has drumming by Anthony Barron, of course, and mixed by Christian Danielson, who is just so well known for the tech death and like brutal death scene. So my pick for the best breakdown had to be the treacherous track off the Fearmonger album by the band Beneath the Massacre. Next, I'm going to be looking at my favorite hardcore band slash LP that dropped this year. And for me, my pick has to go to Alpha Wolf with their album Quiet Place to Die. This was kind of under the radar for me, and I heard their one track Akudama, like when it came out. I thought it was pretty cool. Fast, it was heavy, but it wasn't really giving me that, you know, like a strong impression. It was sort of like, yeah, it's a hardcore track. It's Alpha Wolf. They're just doing what they're doing. But then when the whole album came out and listening to the entire track list, I was fucking mind blown. That's so much emotion, the rawness, even the singing parts in tracks like Bleed For You, adding layer upon layer, adding a different emotional vibe with every track and intensity to go along with it. And that's why, for me, had to go to this one. It was fun to listen to, it was intense, it was emotional, and definitely would have got me in the pit if we had live shows. Anyway, moving on. So the next one's a bit of a fun one, and this is the best merch of the year. So bands have been really upping their game lately when it comes to the merch they put out for their fans, which makes sense. If you have a large fan base and you really love your fans, you want your fans to be able to represent you in their best light possible. The best way to do that is to put out bomb-ass merch that stands out in the crowd. My picks for this year have really stood out to me as well as the stuff I like, and has made me proud to represent these bands. So I actually have both of them here. But I couldn't really decide between the two, so I just said fuck it, and I'm gonna let them both tie for first place. So, and the first one we have is this bad boy. This is the To The Grave long sleeve. It's really dope. It's got Sydney Horror on the sleeves here, and also an array, of logos on the other sleeve. But however, the big one about this one is that it's back piece, which I don't know if you know them. They have really good taste when it comes to their merch. Cause, boom, look at that bad boy. Can you see me? Yeah. That is the back piece. Absolutely gorgeous. We've got Doom Guy and we've got Guts. So yes, this is one of my picks for the best merch of the year. And now my second pick, you've seen it before, it's this bad boy. This is the Brand of Sacrifice, Seto Kaiba, Blue Eyes White Dragon, long sleeve. It's got their logo here, and it's got their different version logo here. And this was a limited time the company Rising Merch did, where they did a collaboration between Animate and some of their bands. And if you haven't noticed, I do have Seto Kaiba right there and Yugi over there. So of course, I was gonna pick up this bad boy. Yeah, it was so fucking dope, and I'm so glad I got it. But anyway, those are my picks, my favorite merch of the year. So next one is a bit of a big one. It is the best deathcore album of the year. Now, deathcore is something that I've been predominantly looking at on my channel. I'm a big deathcore fan. I like the direction it has been going lately, and the band that I've chosen to take the title for best deathcore album of the year has shown just how unique and interesting deathcore can be. Bit of a controversial pick once I say it, but I can't say no to this one. And that is, of course, the album Immortal by Lorna Shore. Lorna Shore, I did a review, of course, is a band that has sort of redefined, in my opinion, what deathcore can be. Instead of just being absolute brutality, this band somehow is able to combine that sort of slamming deathcore feel with a sort of more mature writing style. And regardless of the controversy behind them and their vocalist, I still think this album is absolutely goddamn gorgeous. It's amazing. And that first track, the title track, Immortal, is such a strong first step into the album, and it just continues throughout the whole thing, combining heaviness, atmosphere, orchestration into this package of absolute brutality and emotion that just blew me away. A similar one would have to be the Shadow of Intent album that came out last year, but definitely this one takes the cake. If I had to give a runner-up, definitely I also would like to mention another great band, and that is Within Destruction, coming out with their album Yokai. But for me this year, had to go to Lorna Shore. Now we are looking at my favorite sort of djent metalcore album that has come out this year. And for me, my money would have to go on the new album by the band Invent Animate Graveview. Came out early on in the year. It was really dope. They hadn't put out an album for a while, so you know, when I saw this, I was curious. I listened to it and I was like, yes, this is beautiful. This is great. This album features their new vocalist, who was previously the vocalist of the band Aviana, and he fits so well into this one as well, with his sort of like high screams, his growls, It all fits really nicely together. It was sort of like Northlane, but slightly on their more old school side, and then even moments where the vocalist really went deep and emotional and had this sort of Danny Worsnop sort of vocal sound as well in some of the tracks. And overall, it was a really fun album. It was really intense. There was a lot of variety on it. And yeah, it was an absolute dope album. There was also a runner-up pick I had for this category, and that went to, this was a very slim margin, to the band Kingdom of Giants, who put out their album Passenger. This was an album that I just recently discovered, and my god, it was absolutely amazing. I've talked about it briefly before, and if you haven't checked them out, I highly recommend going to check them out. But for the djent category, I think best for me was Invent Animate. Okay, we're almost there. Let's keep going. Next, we look at the category of prog metal. Prog metal category for me was quite easy because there was only really one album I could think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there was many others, and unfortunately I can't get around to all of them. But from what I listened to, this Head and Shoulders was the one. And that is, of course, The Ocean with their album Phanerozoic 2. This was the sequel to their previous album. It was a mind-blowing journey that combined so many elements, from moments of being Tool-like to moments where they're more like atmospheric black metal and being noisy as well. It had a lot of variety, it had a huge dynamic range, a huge vocal range as well, and overall was just a really beautiful journey from start to finish. So of course my money had to go to The Ocean with their album. Sticking to the prog sort of category, I've also got the best instrumental album of the year. I think it was pretty obvious which one it was going to be, and that is of course the new album by Plini Impulse Voices. I did a live stream for this a couple of weeks back. It was unfortunately a very tragic live stream when it comes to the audio, but regardless, it was an absolute beautiful experience. Plini is a virtuoso guitarist who is able to write some of the most beautiful music out there when it comes to the instrumental side of prog and djent. And this is no exception. This was his second full-length album, and it is amazing. It is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's lush. The mix on it is just to die for. Everything about it is so beautiful. And if you have not checked it out, I highly encourage you to go check it out. It is well worth a listen. But yeah, definitely Plini with Impulse Voices. And now to my final category. It's an interesting category where it's sort of the best sort of comeback band. Or so you can kind of say this is like the best old school artist or something like that. At least for me, it was pretty old school for my age. And this one had to go to the band Trivium with their album What the Dead Men Say. This album is great. This is, I think, Trivium at the best they've ever been, where they have ironed out all the things that may have been issues in the past, whether it be writing, whether it be performance, and have now put it into a package that is just beautiful. This album combines old school Trivium with its sort of more metalcore roots, its fast-paced sort of energy, heaviness, with the modern day polish. When what I mean by that is certain things like Matt Heafy's vocals being heavily improved over the years of training and practice and vocal learning to get his voice to be as amazing as possible, as well as the writing. The drummer as well is just showing an immense amount of control and technique in his drum parts along with the rest of the musicians. It is a great package for anybody who loved the old school Trivium but wanted a more modern take on it. And for those people who were more interested in the modern, more mainstreamy side of Trivium, it's there as well in a package that is so well mixed and just comes off as an amazing album. And I would highly recommend it. For me, it's been my favorite Trivium album since the days of In Waves and Shogun. But anyway, that is it from me. Those were my best of the years. Write down below, do you agree with me? What were your picks of the year? Write it down below as well, and let's get a discussion going. I just also like to quickly say a huge thank you to everybody who's been supporting this channel this year. It has grown quite a big amount since the start of the year, and I hope it continues to keep growing till who knows when. With all that being said and done, if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you gave it a like, and if you're feeling really generous in this winter season, subscribe and support this channel. And with that, you'll be able to keep up to date on all the content that will be coming out. Now that I'll say, once again, thank you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.